Hello everyone, so today what I'm going to be doing is giving you a little bit of a bonus content video. What I was actually having some time working on with one of my students was I was trying to speak to them about sort of trying to trade the ebb and flow within the market, and a lot of people say to me this is the worst way to trade and you should be trading on this and that and the next thing. But I always said at the end of the day, when it comes to making money, shouldn't you be trading things that actually work? And so what I effectively spend some time doing is trying to analyze what happens in the market. The market has an ebb and flow, and what creates that ebb and flow in the market? What creates the moves up and down? Money. So money is what moves the market up and down on a day-to-day basis. Good point. I know there's lots of variables out there, so please don't start screaming at me, because I do know that there's a lot of different variables that play a factor on a day-to-day basis, but the main aspect is money. So money is moving throughout the market on a consistent basis. It's either a positive or a negative influence, either buy or sell. Yes, I know this is quite simple, but effectively that can assist you in identifying where the money is moving and if there's too much buy or too much sell. So this is quite simple. I know that traders tend to call this overbought and oversold, but this is what I'm trying to help identify for you, is by using your trading platform and identifying certain principles, you can probably make use of one of the simplest trading strategies out there, which is capitalizing on overbought and oversold parameters. So what I'm going to be doing is getting onto the trading platform and showing you exactly how you can use these parameters. I do know this is a very, very simple video, and I do know there's many different aspects and factors that you can use in this trading strategy. But what I'm going to be doing is just starting off with the absolute basics, so you can at least spend some time watching the market movements and watching where the money is moving on a consistent basis, why things are moving into a positive and a negative, why things are trending and why things aren't trading. So like I said, let's quickly get into the trading platforms.
Okay, so now that we're on the trading platform, what I'm just going to do is I've got the Euro US dollar chart up on the 1 hour. And what I basically got is the two simple indicators that I want to make use of. So what I've basically got showing as the two indicators is the money flow index, which is the bottom indicator, or some call it the MFI. And then the second indicator is the stochastic. So basically what I make use of when using this strategy, I do use quite a few more principles to basically qualify my trades. So what I do when I'm trading is I tend to trade on an hourly or a daily chart. And then what I do is I build a trading plan. So once I find something is either overbought or oversold on the MFI and the stochastic, I'll secondly go into having a look at the fundamentals, any economic news coming out on that pair, or on either, say for example, this is the Euro US dollar, I'll have a look at each of the indices. So I'll go look at the DAX and then I'll look at the Dow and I'll have a look at what news is coming out in those. And I go through a checkbox of quite a few more things to qualify my trade. But what I'm going to do is just show the bare, simple strategy that you can make use of. And I'd say there is a lot of refining to do for you if you're going to use this strategy, and a lot more to learn. But this is just food for thought and giving you an insight into how I make money on a very simple strategy. I tend to call this a great indication strategy because it shows me what is out there that I can make money off of, and then it goes into the heavy lifting for me to look into what I can make money on. So basically what I'm going to do is I know I'm going to find principles where it will work perfectly, almost situationally, and times where it won't. But I'm just using this for purposes of the video, so please humor me. So what I make use of is slowly but surely, as the market is moving, the indicators will be moving throughout the platform. And what I'm basically looking for is, I'm just going to throw up some rectangles. Price to enter anything within this region. And let me just make this a better color so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm looking for price to enter into this blue region, which we'd consider to be overbought, and into this region to be considered as oversold. And better yet, the same needs to apply over here, in this area, in the MFI. So effectively what I'm looking for is, at times, I'd call it correlations, but I tend to find my stochastic shows up a lot sooner in the overbought and oversold regions than it would on the MFI. So effectively what I do is go through the process of just taking a vertical line. I'm just going to mark this in a nice red color, so at least everyone knows where I'm going on the video. And what I make use of is just moving this line throughout. Let's say, for example, I'm doing it now. So let's say we're looking for something that's moving into the overbought or oversold region. I'd basically be making use of this horizontal line and following as, let's say, for example, if we look on the right-hand side here, I'd effectively be following it as the chart's information was showing. So basically, I'd be able to say, okay, well, here we're looking on the RSI, here we're looking on the stochastic, that it shows it's entering the overbought region, but on the MFI, it's not showing it at all. It's basically showing that in the money flow index, the money is not moving into the overbought region. And just to give you a breakdown, the money flow index assists me in seeing where the money is moving and if it's moving towards more buy or more sell. I'm not going to explain it too much because it is going to take up a lot of time. I'll throw some links down below to help explain a bit more. Moving on. So effectively what I'm looking at is saying, okay, well, the stochastic is my first indicator, which has shown it's overbought. So now I need to try and see what the MFI is saying. And the MFI is showing me that, well, wait, this is not going to be a good sell opportunity or short opportunity to move to the downside because it's not overbought yet. So what I do is I wait, and that's basically the red line I'd call my signal line, and I usually mark it in a nice red color. And then what I do is I'll do a second line, which I usually mark in a nice bright green. And this is pretty much exactly how I execute my trade. I'll mark it in a bright green, and I'll make sure to follow these indicators as each candlestick is showing. So this is an hourly chart. So every hour a new candle forms, and I'll move this line, each candle further. And I'll slowly start to have a look at where these gaps are opening up. I'm just quickly going to move these little boxes away, and then I'll just draw up a nice blue box over here to help show me visually exactly what's happening on the two indicators. I'm actually just going to expand them a bit so we can see them a bit better. This is usually much bigger than I put the indicators, but it's quite simple. So basically what I'm looking at now is I can see that my signal on the MFI is now moving into the overbought region. So what I know right now is that there is a lot of buy movement that has happened moving up to this point on the MFI, and the movement is exhausted. And that's effectively what the indicator is showing me. Very, very basic, but that's pretty much what it's showing me in layman's terms. So the second this green line shows me that now, okay, it's entered this upper region of the overbought region on the MFI. Now it's trigger time. Now up to this point, I'm just zooming in a bit. Up to this point, if we have a look here, now the stochastic has moved back into sort of the middle region. So it's no longer overbought, but the MFI is ready and it's trigger ready. So if I count the candles, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got the first signal point in red on level 90 of my stochastic, and I've got the trigger point on level, and between those two lines I've counted 10 candles. So effectively it's taken me 10 hours worth of analyzing this information and waiting for it. So during those 10 hours, effectively what I'm doing is building my trade plan. So I'm now identifying, okay, what should I be waiting for on the stochastic? What exactly should I be looking at in the news? Firstly, so if there's any major news coming out, then I have to dig into the financial reports, understanding what are the previous financial reports on, say, for example, Euro US dollar, where people are thinking the market's going to be moving, and then basically I'll start to build up my trade plan. And point by point, my trade plan is built, and then I'll decide for myself, okay, where are my entry and exit points going to be, and where are my stop losses and take profits going to be. And then once that's ready, I'm effectively in the trigger seat waiting to pull the trigger. So I've prepared up to this point. And further to that, sometimes what I'll also do is sometimes I might hedge the trade against a co-correlating pair in case I want to reduce my risk, or I might even actually look into if I want to double up on the trade if it goes successfully. So if I want to add to my position further into the trade. And on top of it, I'll basically be looking into further risk management principles that also work quite well to make sure that I can profit or be flat or slightly forward on my position. But this is very simple, to just make use of a stochastic and the MFI. Now, there are many other principles out there. And once again, like I said in the beginning, it's about keeping it simple, making sure that it works for you. And for me, this has been a tried and tested principle. And I can't even begin to explain how much I've been able to make off of just trading this principle. It's just been unspeakable. And for myself, I'll make use of trading this on multiple different principles. So what I'm going to do now is just basically go on a little Easter egg hunt. I'm going to zoom out of this trade, and I'm going to have a look now at other principles where I'm just basically going to do a rough estimate, and I'm going to look at where the MFI entered the overbought or oversold region during this graph. These are actually a bit too little, so I'm actually going to keep those out, even though they're actually quite good trades. Even though that was a great short on a double top as well, I definitely might have been hesitant to enter it because it didn't really enter that level 90. But I'll leave it there anyway, just for interest's sake. I'll have a look here and over here. Well, that's actually a great one to look into. Okay, so now on the hourly, we've got 4 opportunities that we're looking into. I'm just quickly going to get rid of all of this stuff on the right. Don't you love it when you can't select a rectangle in MetaTrader? It's this true test of patience. Okay, so now starting off over here, we're looking on, effectively the stochastic has entered this region over here on the oversold in the level 10 region, which basically is my main trigger point to say I'm ready to make the trade. And then you can see we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost the same amount of candles between the signal on the stochastic and the trigger on the MFI. So you're looking at 10 candles, and basically what happened here, the MFI slowly moved back into that overbought region, and the stochastic sort of went on a mind of its own. But what you can see here is basically a bit of a sleeper move. And why we call this, why I call this a sleeper move is because it almost looks like a bit of a sleeper. Like it's sort of very soft. It's got a very bent upward trend. It's sort of not jagged. So what I call on a sleeper move is basically they are very slow trades. And sometimes this can be if there was not much news coming out on the analysis or anything like that. So in my trade plan, that would be hopefully something I'd pick up, is how volatile are the markets currently. And if the markets are not volatile, one of the things I'll have to look out for, which my trade plan actually triggers me on, is keep an eye out for a sleeper. So what it would effectively say to me is it could make a slow movement to the bullish side. So what I'd effectively do on that is I'd go in on a much smaller lot size, or I'd set my stop a lot further away from my trigger point, which means that if I set my stop, let's say an extra 20 or 30 pips down, that just means that I've given the trade a bit more space to move slightly lower than it actually did now. So as you can see, this sort of formed a sleeper move. It would have been an absolute grind to wait for this trade to play out. But if you had your stop in and your take profit in, you could have just let the trade play out and it would have done you well. But point taken, that sleeper move may have been a difficult one to play. So over here, you've got basically what could be a failed signal. So over here, you can see the stochastic sort of bounced into that level 90 overbought region quite fast and then stayed in that upper region. You can see here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles. So a little bit fewer, but you can see this MFI pushed straight into the level 80 region and then back into the level 90 region. And that basically shows that there's quite a lot of bullish movement. As you can see previously, once the stochastic entered the region, the MFI was still late to the game, sort of late to the party over here. But you can see that it soon caught up. But over here, they're almost moving at the same time on the second trade. So that's also a bit of a signal to show that there's quite a lot of bullish movement, which would, in my trade plan, be a second warning sign to show that it is very bullish. So once again, I'd probably go in on a small lot size. And effectively what would have happened here is if I entered on a sell, the trade would have basically flattened out, almost formed an inverted sleeper, and just popped straight back up and probably hit my stop. I could have been lucky if I was monitoring this trade and just closed it out myself manually, but that could have been a lost trade. So moving up here, this was the one that I said, excuse me, this is the one that I said I didn't like because it wasn't in the level 90. But you can basically see here, stochastic entered that overbought region quite fast into the level 90, pierced into almost the level 100, and then the signal, and then the trigger sort of moved into that level 85 region, but didn't pierce that level 90. So once again, like I said, I might have not entered this trade, but it formed a little bit of an inverted sleeper and then went for a lovely short. So basically what would have happened is if I entered this, my stop loss would have been set just above and it would have just played out slowly. And it would have just basically moved straight into my take profit later on. That would be if I didn't manually close the trade, which sometimes I catch myself out doing. So this is also a great one because you can see the stochastic entered the level 10 region right over here on the signal. And then over here, you can see the MFI was slow to the party, but still entered that region, but still not all the way down to the level 10. So it's not extremely oversold, but it's still in that region slightly. So what I would have done is opened a small lot. I probably would have had a low risk trade, maybe hedged it or went in on a position where I didn't double up or anything. But you would have seen it would have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles to the trigger. And hopefully if I did my trade plan right, I would have known this would have been such a bullish trade. And you would have seen that it created some bullish candles, went for a bit of a top and pulled straight back to the same level and sort of tested these levels over here on the support before breaking out and making it up to that upper region So this would have been quite a nice trade as long as I was monitoring what was happening, and hopefully I would have spotted that it was just testing the supports and hitting a triple top here. And hopefully I would have held into the trade and just basically done some inter-range trading and monitoring. And I would have just set my stops outside this region. So if I look at where the region was trading within, so basically if I was just, let's say I'd enter the trade and I only saw to this point, I would have drawn a rectangle and basically just seen, okay, well, it's trading within this range. I'll set my stops outside of the range, and here it comes again. Let's try select the box. Oh, there we go. Wow, got to get a start for that. And then I would have played this box out as the candles formed, and I basically would have waited for the candles to move back into this region and closed out my trade and my profit. So that's also what I do, is once I enter the trade, I will manage my risk by using different trade plans and trying to identify different strategies that it might be playing into. So hopefully if I went in on a buy on this trade back in this area here, I would have noticed that price was trading within a range and it was no longer trending like back here. So post trend, you tend to find some tops and trading within a range. So hopefully my trade plan would have identified that to me as long as I was managing my risk properly. So I would have just closed this trade out and that would have been it. So I can spend some more time elaborating on multiple different opportunities that I've traded and etc, etc. But what I really want to do is just give this as food for thought for you. There are many different trade strategies out there, but I'm just tending to find that this strategy is really nice, simple to use, and it's quite digestible. So it's not very vague in its response. It's either a yes or a no. It's either it's in the region or it's not in the region. And that's the lovely part about using indicators. There's a lot of people that stand against indicators, and there's a lot of people that say this, that, the next thing. Look, you can stay to yourselves. I just let the profit speak for itself. And on this strategy, I've probably made excess of, I don't know, easily over $10,000-$20,000 on this principle. So that's also a great thing to just take home, is go try it for yourself, try it on a demo if you like, and see what you think. I'd love to hear back on what you thought about this principle, and also if you'd like to find out more about how the trade strategy and plans and everything work that I build together. I do actually teach all of this back on MS Equities Trading. So it's my own online trading institute where I teach people from around the world all of these principles, and I basically enter them into my internship programs, my scholarship programs, and I teach them how to trade. And I've been doing this for a while now, and I have had the odd failed student, but it seems like a lot of my students are doing quite well and they're really growing into this a lot. So if you'd like to nibble a bit more and find out more, then you can always follow the links down below and we'll make sure to see you on that side.
So I just wanted to say thanks so much for tuning in to have a watch on this video. Once again, I do know, simple, straightforward, but this strategy is actually working incredibly well for me. I know it actually sounds crazy because a lot of people say to me, well, I mean, you are a good trader and you say that you make this amount of money on a consistent basis. So I'm sure you're using some very complicated principles in those trading strategies. And sometimes I say that the best way to making money is the simplest way to making money. It's all about trying to pull out every single other aspect that you don't need to have a look at and trying to simplify it down to, okay, identifying what are you doing as a trader. You're trying to identify if the market is going up or it's going down. And then you're just going to ride that boat. You're going to enter your trade and move with it. And then after that, you're going to be focusing on risk management. But what I've found is this trading strategy has worked for me time and time again. Sometimes I tend to call it the sort of dumb trader strategy, but the dumb trader strategy seems to be making me a lot of money. So I keep on using it and I keep on capitalizing. I do have times where this strategy doesn't work, it goes against me, and sometimes I lose money. but hey, that's a part of being a trader. I do teach a lot of much more complicated strategies and much more intricate strategies that probably in a sense can have a much higher probability rate, but I tend to find that this strategy is incredibly simple to teach my beginner students to actually just show them how to get used to the market. So this can sometimes be called the training wheels, to be able to use indicators to assist you with trading. But once again, when you're starting off as a trader, that's the stuff that you need. Especially for myself, no matter how long I'm trading for, I'm still going to make use of these indicators. Even if some people call them training wheels, well then, hey, I'm going to be making lots of money on my training wheels. So once again, just wanted to say thanks so much for tuning into this video. Hope this is very helpful. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't like it, leave a thumbs down. And just make sure to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it worked for you. So if you'd like to chat to me more, if you need any assistance with anything, even if you would like to just have a Skype session where we can trade together for a bit, you can find my contact details down below, and I'll make sure to assist you. I'm sure I'll be able to assist you with something, or sometimes maybe if you want to spend some time chatting to my students, my traders, we can always hook that up for you, and you can always spend some time working with them. Once again, cheers for now. See you in the next video.